Хорошо, я тогда
All
начинаю.
right, so I begin. The topic of my course, I will begin with a small presentation of my course, and then we'll show you the presentation for whom and about, to which topic. This course, ABSR, is for pregnant women. It was my idea at the very beginning, and then I thought, well, maybe it is also interesting for parents and as a whole for parents, because pregnant women, they are already almost parents. And then I went on thinking and thought it is like getting ready to become a mother. So for those who aren't still pregnant and who aren't mothers, but who would like to become mothers, so the course for such women, like 4 different categories. And 4 different steps, like ABSR to get ready to become a parent, ABSR for pregnant, ABSR for parents with children before Rubicon, and ABSR for parents with the children after Rubicon, because it is a very important path in the life of a child and for the parents as well, because parents, they can feel that their child changes really much. And today the accent will be ABSR for pregnant women. With examples, with a schedule, because for me this topic was most interesting, because the course ABSR, when I was a course leader during the ABSR 2, I got to know that I'm pregnant, and I didn't know it from the very beginning, but I noticed it when one of the course leaders, Marina, when she was suggesting eurythmic exercises, I noticed that my body doesn't want to do eurythmy. And I, as a course leader, I was doing the therapeutic work with the fairy tales with the people on this ABSR course. And Eightfold Path, I was doing already being pregnant. I didn't do eurythmy, I didn't do meditation, so eurythmic meditation. But I concentrated on what was really nice for me, the consonants, and searching for consonants in the periphery, on the periphery. For me, it was very impressive from the very first meeting, from the very first consonants. I discovered M. I am from Kiev, from Ukraine. At that moment, I was in Colombia, in Papayan. And in this city, it is there is a central place. And I was looking for doves flying like that. In Kiev, the doves, they don't fly in such a way. But in Colombian, they flew in an M. So from the one side, the doves were flowing, and then to the other side, back and forth, currents and countercurrents, like a eurythmic M, the dancing doves. I couldn't do eurythmy, but the birds showed eurythmy to me, and I could experience it on my periphery. And before I go on to presentation, I would like to add that when I was thinking of this course, I was consulting the Rudolf Steiner, what he gave, like you aren't allowed to do meditation after the 6th month. You can't read esoteric texts, and if you do eurythmy, then only a little bit, and also you can't do the speech, can't work with speech. And I realized that, okay, then in my course, I wouldn't use the speech exercises because Rudolf Steiner doesn't suggest to do it. And also the idea like walking for 15 minutes for a pregnant woman is like for 1 hour for a normal woman. And this means then eurythmy for a pregnant woman, she really needs very little. And the main idea that inspired me was to give positive impressions through art. The role of Madonnas, the painting or playing. And that's why I thought that the course can be divided into 3 parts: eurythmy, or something that can replace eurythmy. For example, to do eurythmy with your eyes, or just to do it on your side with one arm, or also use walking, like while walking, do something. And I was looking at eurythmy exercises from that point of view, how the pregnant women can do it. And what can replace eurythmy? For example, this therapeutic role of Madonnas with the music on lyre, or biographic consultation, for example, 7 steps over the meeting. The 7 steps of meeting father of the child, for example, to remember more deeply how you met the father of this child. It is very important because the soul of the child is searching for the eye of the father. Mother is astral body, is the past of the child, and the future is the father. And how to paint, how to search for pictures, I will show you in the presentation. And I will also show you some forms. Just a moment. I won't read everything that I prepared. I already told you what I wanted to tell. I would just show you some pictures. For example, 12 feelings. They are important 12 senses in the development of a child. How the child is developed, and in adult it is like inner work with your qualities, with your qualities of the character. And 7 the course for pregnant women is called 7 doors. During the 7 weeks, we will come through 7 doors. Here on the photo, you can see the doors to the house of one writer on this central place where I was looking, where I observed this dance of the birds. And also I changed a little bit the order of the exercises. I was thinking that moon to months is the first course, and I will explain why I chose it like that. So this is Raphael, Madonna of Raphael, with a child, and I would like to read. A person can, a human being can consciously think of himself as a physical and spiritual being. When he thinks he's a physical being, he can't be free. And when he thinks he's a spiritual being, he is always free. And for me, this is the mood of not being born. Leo Tolstoy said it in his calendar, this mood that we have before we are born on the earth. The first module, I already told about it. It can be eurythmy for pregnant women while walking, doing it with the eyes, doing a little bit on your side with one arm, or something that will replace it. And it can be, for example, fairy tale. The next module, the exercises that I was searching for, eurythmy exercises for each week, for each planet. My example, sun, and I will also say what exercises I used for it. I can also say, for example, for Mercury, it is threefold walking, or for Mars, it is the star, and we walk diagonally or in circles. So I believe that walking is good for pregnancy. And for example, to cross the legs and arms, it is something that Rudolf Steiner doesn't suggest for pregnant women. And I also observe myself whether I cross my legs and arms and try to free myself. Yeah. The second module or the second course is exercises against nervosity. So you can see that planet and process, it is like pairs. For example, moon, breathing, and we will begin breathing from the moon. Moon is something that is connected with the motherhood, with the reproduction, the moon mood. Then the sun and warming up. It is interesting what can be more warming than the sun. Saturn and feeding, like getting nourishing. Venus excurting and Jupiter preserving something, and Mercury growing, and Mars is creating something new. And during the Eightfold Path, it was very impressive that the consonants of Mars are connected with S. It is like going beyond the boundaries. And also when a child is born, it goes beyond the boundaries. It goes from watery, from liquid atmosphere into the earth. And also, if we have some images or mythology or fairy tales, we can add to them to do with eurythmy. And last time when we met in our course, certificate course, I showed a meditation. For example, my presentation, sorry. For example, sun and how it is in mythology. It is passing between Scylla and Charybdis. It is going through. So it isn't esoteric knowledge, it is mythology, it is close to fairy tales. And the third part of the course is writing a fairy tale. It is connected with the processes to heal the processes. How to create a fairy tale? It begins with the breathing and it ends with some creativity, like when the hero gets half of the kingdom as a present. And also reading a fairy tale, we already had an experience with 2 courses, reading the fairy tales of Brothers Grimm and also Andersen. For warming, it was the inch girl. I don't know the English name of this fairy tale. When this tiny girl was trying to bring the bird into life, and she succeeded in it. And yeah, in anthroposophy, world of teachers, they prefer the fairy tales of Brother Grimm. but maybe the fairy tales of other folks are also good. And also we can read the legendaries about 7 doors. It is a very old energy about women's energy, that the woman goes through 7 doors. And then for the parents, for course 2 and 3, I had some ideas for those who already have children, and they can have more biography work. Thumbelina, thank you, Anna. Yeah, her name is Thumbelina. So the course 2 and 3, I believe it would be more biography work, more important. It will help to get the contact with your own child, but also it will help your child to get to come into contact with him or herself. How would I do the first meeting, introductory meeting for pregnant women? We will begin with a legend or a poem, or maybe a little meditation, like everyday meditation of Rudolf Steiner, and maybe not devoted to some arts, some stress factors, but devoted to the soul of a child that isn't born yet, about this period of not being born yet. So Karl König, he wrote about it quite a lot, and maybe something from there. And the next meetings, starting with the moon and ending with Mars, 7 planets. At first, discuss the fairy tale from the last week, show Madonna, Maria, then read some poem that is connected with the virtues of this week. Then create a fairy tale, but only one paragraph of it, like sun is warming, the life process of warming. And for example, what does the hero of the fairy tale observe in the world with the help of his 12 senses? When we did ABSR courses online with the fairy tale therapy, we read a fairy tale of Brothers Grimm, for example, and as a task to create your own fairy tale, I gave it like a home task, and some participants, they wrote a fairy tale, others not. And I was thinking that it would be really nice if we do it all together. When we meet together, then it will inspire people more. If they hear others also creating their own fairy tale. Then exercises against nervousness, and then end while drawing Madonna. How we will do it, I will show you further on. I took the table and the book of Peter Buchy to draw in forms, dynamic forms. there he, in one of his books, he gives a table which form is connected with which planet. And as home task is to read a fairy tale. So the first meeting I read myself a fairy tale, and the second meeting I can do it as a task to read the fairy tale for this week that they do it themselves. And as an example, second week is the sun and Madonna, Maria with a baby. And from one side you can see a candle, or from on the other side you can see a candle. It is warming up something. You can see it in the painting. And then some wise words by Jean-Paul Richter about a virtue, compassion, because sun is connected with compassion. Little pains, they take us out of ourselves, and big pain, it helps us to come to ourselves.